In the previous lesson, we went through the steps necessary to add several rips along the edges of this Solidworks part. Now, we're going to take a look at inserting bends using the Insert Bends feature. But before we do that, if you would like to follow along with me, go into your Working Files folder and open the part file named Using the Rip feature. Now let's begin. I am going to select Insert Bends, and the Property Manager opens. The very first window here is asking me to select a fixed face. Now this is the face that remains stationary as the bends are formed around it. So I am going to select the bottom face. Next in the Property Manager, I am prompted for a bend radius. I am going to insert a value of 2.5 millimeters. Moving down the Property Manager, notice we have some options that we've seen in many other sheet metal commands: bend allowance and auto relief. At the very bottom of the Property Manager, we have a window for rip parameters. This window is no different than the rip feature that we covered in the previous lesson. Solidworks places the rip feature in the Insert Bends feature just for convenience sake. But since we already have the rips added to this part, we will look past this portion of the Property Manager. Let's go ahead and close out of the Insert Bends feature. We receive a Solidworks message stating that auto relief cuts were made for one or more bends. That is good. I'm going to select OK. Notice the bends are added. Relief cuts are also added, just like we would have expected. After completing the Insert Bends feature, notice in the Feature Manager tree, we have 4 additional features. The first one is sheet metal. If I edit sheet metal, we've seen this Property Manager before in other lessons. We have fixed face, bend radius, material thickness, bend allowance, and auto relief. And this Property Manager here controls the sheet metal settings for other sheet metal features. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this and then edit Flatten Bends 1. The Flatten Bends feature represents the flattened part. This feature contains information related to the conversion of sharp and filleted corners into bends. And you can see in the Property Manager, you can change the bend radius and bend allowance. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this feature. Next, we have Process Bends. Process Bends represents the transformation of a flattened part into the finished sheet metal part. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. And the last one is Flat Pattern, which we've seen before, which allows us to flatten and unflatten. One new item added to the sheet metal ribbon after we use the Insert Bends command is the No Bends feature. Now, before I select this, I want you to keep an eye on this part of the Feature Manager tree and the part on the screen. So when I select No Bends, the rollback bar is placed above the sheet metal features, the Flat Bends, Process Bends, and Flat Pattern, and the part you see on the screen is pre the bend state. So this is before the bends were placed in the part.